Thank you, trustees, the chairperson, members. I'm called Dr. Tusu Semureta, Mwasa Welfare for now. So now my points are going to touch on the welfare of staff. One, we should start making resolutions. We have been going around on impairment since 3 or 30 when I went to start an exam and I came in. I think we're wasting time. Let's make resolutions on impairment. Are we allowed the audit reports as they are, or what's going to give us a list of the members? You know, what I wanted to say earlier was, this is a report for auditors from KPMG. We had a report earlier from Ernst & Young. So I don't see how this one overrides the other one. So if we had one which was presented to us and we have it as a General Assembly, and we said this is the money that TUCS has out of 33 billion that is impaired now, show it to me. Because it's a valid document then. Why does this one override the other one? So let's use the other one to give us the statements as they are. Then you say, from your concept judgment, the 10%, you say now since it's 1 year since the other time, once you had 10 million, 10%, you have 1 extra million, so you expect to have 11 million as per the other report, which is still a valid document. Then this one can be used now, and you say, from this report now, you have your money minus the other impairment. But now when you throw the other in the bill, is like the other report was useless and then you paid a lot of money. So let's make resolutions as we go here. Then my other point is on, in your report, page 25, now we keep personal all figures. When you go to page 25, I'm comparing the two financial years, 2013 and 2014. Somehow, I don't understand why I'm beaten by the expenses by our trustees, because I thought trustees are supposed to defend our money and try to use as little as possible so that we get extra interest on our final accounts. I looked at an item, governance costs, under operating expenses, on page 25. There's governance costs. In 2013, we used 147 million. This year, we have used 185 million. These are under operating costs. I'm concerned. Another one I'm seeing is training and workshops. In 2013, we used 1.5 million. This year, we have used 58 million. Then under fund administration, last year they used 49 million. This year, it's 98 million. You see these figures are almost doubling. For me, I'm always keen on such small figures that people just overlook it. So I'm wondering what the board of trustees were explaining about this year compared to the other year. And my members note, when you look at the expenses, for example, the fund administration, and that's why I'm not normally very soft on these fund managers, spying feed and so on. Last year they used 49 billion, okay? And we got an interest of 4.6. This year they are taking 98 million. The interest has gone down for 4. Are you getting the comparison? You spend less, you got 12.6. Now it has doubled, you have 12.0. Is that fair? Are the fund managers doing the right thing, or we should change over and get others? Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. I'm going to avoid the second question and give it to our accountant who will give the details, but I'm going to answer the first question. Thank you. About throwing away the old audited reports. We have not thrown them away. In fact, you can tell how much was your unremitted that is being written off. If you check last year's statement, the unremitted amount that was there is, okay, it's not being written off. The one which is not being recorded on this statement. If you take last year's statement, that amount was not growing. So it is the same amount that is not on this statement, which has been impaired. Okay. Secondly, technically, if you take all the statements that you have in the scheme, their total should give us the fund balance, which has been confirmed by the auditors. So if we put there the unremitted, then you will not be adding up the fund balance. we need to have all the statements adding up the fund balance. So I think I will give the accountant to give the answer to the second question, please.
I'm going to answer the questions about the figures, because these are our figures, so we should be able to defend them, or if we are going to be crucified, we should be crucified. Fortunately, there are also figures man, and so let's start with governance costs. The governance costs, members, the trustees receive as part of their honorarium, what we call a honorarium. They receive some honorarium, and in 2013, 2012, 2013, the honorarium that was budgeted for was about 97 million. And this is an amount before tax. And before this is paid, it has got to get approval from associations. This money, by the way, is very little. And if you were to do the work that we do on a daily basis, this is tragic. In fact, we are worried that if one day one of you becomes a trustee, one of you becomes like a board secretary who has had sleepless nights for the last 4 months because of your impairment, I don't know whether you would do, if it is not service. But in the financial year 2013-2014, on the budget, this amount has increased to 115 million. And one of the justifications was that the chairperson of the audit committee this year, the last year, was also considered to be, because it does work. When it comes to audit, it is actually very serious work. And he's always with us, he's always chairing, and you find that sometimes he's like a trustee. So he was also included to receive somewhat honorarium. And so that was one of the big jumps. But we also had several meetings, and for some of the meetings, we have, so I think I've explained that one. Development of scheme documents. When we have a budget, when we project what we're going to use, if there is no activity, we are not like government, where we say that because this item is 58 million, we have to spend it. We don't have to spend it. In the previous year, 2012-2013, we didn't have any document we were developing, and therefore we did not spend that money. In 2013-2014, we had 3 documents that were under development. One, we had what we call the IPS, the Investment Policy Statement. This IPS document is prepared not by trustees, but by a professional called an actuary. There are very few actuaries in the country, and in fact, the one who did this job was a Kenyan. It's a Kenyan firm, NP. They are based in South Africa, but they have an arm in Kenya. And this is the document the fund managers use. And before you come up with this document, you have to take care of 8 profiles of members, the risk involved, and whatever. That is technical. We can't prepare it. We also, it was during this year that we were developing the trustee deed and rules, reviewing it. And there were even some expenses where, for example, we went for consultation of members to set up, to which we invited the UBRA association members, whatever. And then there was what we call the financial management manual. This one is also done by an expert from outside. So how do we handle money? If, for example, I want to get petty cash, what is the procedure to be followed? If trustees are going to spend on this, so financial management money. This was known in our heads, but you have to document that, and you need the money for that. Those are the documents. And then, trainings and workshops. Members, the work that the trustees do is actually very technical, especially when it comes to, for example, reviewing the NEC statement, when it brings it as a quarter, and from time to time, they have to be prepared. So this money included some training, and I think it also included the visit to which the trustees went in Nairobi together with the 3 members of the university management, to try and look at possibilities of using university property to do what? To recover the money that is owed to members. Fund administration, this one is not for fund managers, this one is actually for liaison, the administrators. In 2012-2013, liaison came on board in December. So what you see as 49 was payment for only half the year that they served. In the last financial year, they served for full year. That's why you see that there is a doubling of the what? Of the fees. In terms of financial performance, the financial performance cannot be compared by saying that last year you paid 12.6 and this year you're paying 12. Are you performing badly? The financial performance is determined by the investment environment. In 2012-2013, there were 2 things that happened which impacted positively on the scheme performance. One was that we got some money, MIC payments that came in, and was big money from government. And there were some profits that were made on that. Secondly, Kenya held a very successful election. And when it turned out to be peaceful, the stocks in Kenya shot up very sharply. And so the people who had investments in Kenya enjoyed very good returns. Now, when the returns are going up, at some point you know they smoothen. And so we are seeing a smoothening in this year. And in the coming year, the results are going to be almost unpredictable, because you know why? We are having an election in Uganda. And so the foreign investors who have interest here, most of them are trying now to run away because they don't know what is going to happen, and they will come back later. So performance has to do, and that's why in the report there was a review of the financial climate so that you can explain the performance. But one thing you can do is to look at other schemes, comparable schemes. NSSF. NSSF pays interest on opening balance using a simple interest formula. So if you look at your statement from NSSF, I know some of you are in NSSF as well. What you do, you get the opening balance, and then you do a simple interest, and then you get the interest. For us, what we do with the 12% we have declared is compounded per month. That means the interest you made in the first month, at the end of the first month, is considered as the principal, and it also earns interest. Interest earns interest. And that's why when you look at page 38, the statement for this year, note 3 at the very bottom, we have tried to put an indicative rate, and we have said that the interest rate declared is compounded per month. But the equivalent simple interest rate, if you wanted to compute to see whether your interest is correct, because compounding is very hard for a normal person, the comparable one is 12.6 what? 8. So if we are like comparing NSSF, we would say NSSF gave 11.5, we have given 12.6 what? 8. And I think that's a good performance. Thank you.
I did say that you paid a consultant an actuarial. And I thought on your board, you have an actuarial person, you have a legal person. Why should I pay fees to an actuarial person in Kenya? Yet on my board, I have someone who has been nominated by the actuarial organization in Uganda. Why should I pay these legal fees? Yet I have a lawyer on my. Then I think if we are paying outside people, external people, then we should downsize. And we know we have only 5 people who are maybe our representatives there. The legal, the actuarial services, the financial, whatever, we can outsource and pay. But now we are paying the trustees, the honorarium, we are paying the experts outside that. Is that fair?
Let me just respond to that very quickly. According to the law, the trustee is not supposed to provide any expert opinion that is a service. So, for example, we have a lawyer on the board, and when we are seated discussing, the lawyer advises, but for example, we cannot use her advice as an expert opinion. If you want an expert opinion, you write to Professor Baria, and then he or any other person who provides an expert opinion, similar to an actuary, similar to an accountant, but they advise. But as you know that the scheme documents have been under review, and I think one of the amendments that are key in those documents is that the composition of the Board of Trustees has been reviewed. And instead of having 9 trustees, we are going to have 5 trustees. And then we will be able, for example, to use the expertise of Mrs. Edna Gumayo in the accounting sector, and she will be able to come in and she will be able to write something or give us an opinion that when then we can rely on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mine is simple. My name is Florence Mutoni Vijanga, Associate Professor of Physics. Mine is maybe personal, but I need to know. I retired only recently, and now I'm on contract. But when I came, I didn't find a statement. And when I asked, they said, of course, I can't have a statement. But so my worry is, how about this money, which I believe we shall get from the way we have been discussing? It will come, and it is my money. How will you contact me? How will you get me if I now don't have a statement? And they say those who have moved, maybe strongly will. So I just want to know this person. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Silvia Florence Akiki, Sociology Department Senior Lecturer. I'm here to raise my concern on the expenditure of management of our funds. One question: who approves your budget? Because I heard that it is you presented your budget to Mwasa, but now we are not aware of that. So whatever you are giving us is just a summary. So who approves your budget? 2, it's unfortunate that the authority, the pension authority guy has left. I hope in the provision they should indicate how much management should use of the beneficiaries' money. For example, when you are doing research, you are not allowed to use more than a certain percentage of that amount of the grant that you are being given as salary, whatever. So I hope the trustee, the authority will come up with that formula so that we don't misuse beneficiaries' money by spending lavishingly. And third, still it will have gone to the authority, the pension authority. Much as this management, market management is tossing us, after we have got our money, hopefully some of us will have to find where we want to belong. Either to belong to you or we go to NSSF. So that we no longer fight, because there are some of these other, maybe because you are an insider, that's why they toss you. If it was an NSSF, they would have responded. So I think we need time as members to decide where we should belong when we have recovered all our money, because there will be other sort of BOTs that will be coming on board once the bill has been passed in Parliament. By the way, I'm going to stand as member of Parliament, and hopefully when I go there, I'll fight for you. Thanks so much. She retired, but she didn't get a statement. And how will she know that the money has now come? We have been informing even those that went before we got this scheme through media. And in my communication, we also said that at least it's going to go around and people will look at. If they know anybody and they remember where they are, we tell them, they may not have seen the media advert. But quite often we put out in the media and call members, a number of them, many of them have come and claimed their money. That's the way we intend to call those that don't have statements and their money is still with us. if it ever comes as we hope.
Just to supplement what the chairperson has said, there are two types of members in the scheme. There are those ones that we call active, and there are those ones that we call deferred. Now, the statements are only provided for the active members who are contributing. Now, the deferred members are those ones we have paid, or they still have not yet applied for their benefits, but they have exited the what? The scheme. Those records we also have paid, but we do not provide a statement for the deferred what? Members. And I think that's the reason. But we have those records well kept, and everything is okay. I wanted to just handle these questions because they are pertinent. Florence has raised some issues, and I think one of the issues she has raised is who approves the budget for the scheme. I will ask somebody from outside to answer this question. I don't know whether Madam Edna will be able to answer that question. But just before she answers that question, she has asked that in the new law, is there some provision on how to check how much is being expended with that? We are part of a committee at UPRA that tried to look at ratios. I think in the coming year when we do report again, there are going to be ratios that check your expenditure vis-a-vis the income and everything. And these are going to be uniform, and you'll be able, for example, to check the expenditure of Makerere in comparison to NSSF. We were arguing as Makerere that let us do it even this year, and we were not successful. How I wish we had done it, because then it would have been very what? Clear. But next year, I hope, and I think the auditors can help us, that these ratios be part of the financial reporting, so that when we say that, because Makerere is one of the best schemes, if not the best in the country, so when we say Makerere is the best, we need to have the basis for saying it is the best. The other one is are we going to be able to choose? This is always the question that is asked. And the word liberalization, I think, captures that very well. Members are going to be able to what? To choose. But sustainability, they are going to allow for a 5-year period before which you can what? Choose. Because if they allow people to exit immediately and we publish these ratios, people are going to run away from NSSF and they are going to come and join some of these more effective what? Schemes. But the government has been arguing that the liberalization law has not come to break NSSF, but rather to empower NSSF. And I think that 5 years are going to give the schemes, not only NSSF, time to become more competitive, so that when people open up the space, they will not be disadvantaged and they will not go under. Madam Edna.
Thank you, Dr. Shaibu. Now, the Makerere Universal Retirement Benefit Scheme, just like all other schemes, operates like a company, where at the helm of the company they are the owners, the members. You know that the owners are the board of trustees, or in the company environment, the board of directors. Below that, there is management and staff, usually. Now, in normal business, the shareholders do not really get involved in the nitty-gritty of operations of a company, like approval of the budget. The board of directors approves the budget for the company. Yes, vis-a-vis the retirement benefit scheme environment, the board of trustees approves a budget that is drawn up by the secretariat, who are our management, and they base on the work plan for the year, budget assumptions. For instance, This year we plan to do ABC. We will have, under compliance, we will have to hire a fund manager. We estimate that so much money that we'll have, we base a percentage on our contract with the fund managers to estimate what our fund management cost will be. Administration, on average, we have so many members. This is the cost that will go to administration. On custodial fees, we estimate so many transactions, therefore this is what will go. At the end of the year, we're going to have an audit, and we estimate the trend that this is what will be paid to the auditor. Then we go down to the costs of office, stationery, communication, etc. We go down to the issue of trainings. The Board of Trustees and staff would require training because definitely they have to get updated on changes in environment, changes in technology, and planning the new business as such. All the operations of the scheme are approved by the Board of Trustees, with the exception of the honoraria of the Board of Trustees. And that is presented to the associations and approved there. So that is the process by which we budget. That's the process by which our budget is approved. However, if you feel you'd like more details in this, you are free to visit our offices, make an appointment with the chairman or the secretary, and come and get the in-depth description and also budget assumptions at which we arrive at the budget and how we operate. Please, you are all encouraged to take interest in your scheme, because this is your money that we are entrusted to manage, and we respect all members who come with questions to us, and we will make with utmost care and detail explain to you what is going on at the scheme offices, because we cannot do a detail like that in an annual general meeting or even general meeting. I hope
Thank you. I need some the board for this explanation. My concern is that I believe where the figures are not in line with each other. Like if we have big differences between the figures of previous year and this year, possibly you could put a note in annual report and explain that instead of waiting for people like that first ask. Then two, still on this issue of impairment, my last take is that we have heard from the auditors and accountants and from the legal team, but I still think that much as this man was removed from data, because our data is reduced, that's why I was against your take of assets, our data is reduced from 35 to 4 billion, implying that they have removed it and now put it in a losses, and therefore it is impaired. I still think that it does not affect this statement which you have. You may not put it under our income because you have impaired it, but you could be having somewhere where to put that figure for an individual, so that when I'm not there, and maybe my wife tomorrow is going to claim for that money, he will know this was not remitted and it is recognized as an income. This one was put under impairment, but it is still my money, so that maybe when you make a breakthrough at a certain stage, he or she can be able to get that one. But when you give me a statement like this, and you say, we are not putting that money here because it is impaired, which is agreed, it is really misleading. It is not showing me that the university owes me, and there are all legal processes here to recover that money. I still disagree with reasons of impairment. Matters my friend Akonyeta has accepted it, I don't know why. Impairment means that you are losing hope. Are we losing hope about this money?
Eric,
It means that you are losing hope. We are not
because
losing
of
hope.
time,
Okay.
but you have raised this question so many times. I think I'm going to say something from a layman's perspective, and then the council is going to say something about this. One, I think we are taking the different path. You are having, in Uganda there is what they call Yoyayanswa. For you are more interested in Yoyayanswa than actual things. I am saying, if you had the explanation I said here, if you had asked this General Secretary here, Dr. Frank Mwire, and you had said to him that please in the week before we go for Christmas, because we cannot make any resolutions in this General Assembly that affects Mwasa, call Mwasa. And let us, you give an ultimatum to the university and the trustees to sort this mess before this university is ever opened again. We are going to get our money, not in the answer, and we are going to get everything that we need. For you are saying that you would rather grow old and have this book value there, but when it is never going to get. We are looking at a practical way of getting it. Secondly, when you produce the statements, the personal statements, when we are producing the statements, the sum on your statements should add up to the fund what? Value. So if in the main statement it is 65 billion, you cannot have member statements that add up to 90-something billion. That one is not allowed. But in terms of the legalities of the case and how hopeful we are in getting this money and whether we have lost the money, I think the right person to answer is Professor Bari.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I came in late because I had another engagement, but I'm here both as a member, which is different because I also have my statement with the impaired money not there, but also as a lawyer or legal advisor to the Board of Trustees. Let me talk about two things. First of all, Nick, you know very well that you got your Nick money, okay? Using processes that were both legal and extra legal. Okay? Yes, we did this with Dr. Tango Doya and others some time back. The government gave us that money. It was paid to you, although a few people may not have got their money, but most people have got their money. We went to court because we agreed with the government that although they have given us this money, because it was 27 billion, Nick paid 10, government paid 17. We went to court to claim 17 billion from Nick. But when we went to court, Nick said, but for us to recognize 6.8 billion. So we kept on dancing. The story has been long. I don't want to go into it, but the long and short of it is that on the 3rd of December this year, judgment was entered for 6.8 billion in favor of the university and the scheme. Because the university and the scheme together sued Nick. Theoretically, for us for agreement with the government, we are supposed to return that money. Okay? That's what was agreed. However, between the Board of Trustees and the university, we are of the view that we should find a way of retaining this money, 6.8 billion. Now for the balance, that is 17 minus 6.8, what's the balance? About 10.2. We shall still argue about it in court. So we are in the process now of seeing how to get the 6.8 from Nick into the university or the Board of Trustees' hands. Okay? Because judgment was entered. And in my view, they cannot even appeal against it because it was an admission by themselves. Okay? So that is on Nick. So theoretically, you should have no interest in that money. But practically, we would want to have it. That's a different issue that the Board of Trustees and the management of the university are handling. Now, the big case. The Board of Trustees against Makerere University. I think the figures are in the report. Okay, the figures are in the report. But for those who may not have a history, it is 1.6 billion not remitted to NIC by the university itself for a period of about 10 years. So we want that money with interest. From the date of default, which is about 1996. Okay? With interest. That's number one. There is money which, when the NIC DAP scheme was stopped, and Makerere had not established a scheme, so that unclear period between 2005 and 2009, I think. Now, the university will deduct your money. Theoretically, it should also pay 10%. Okay? This money was supposed to be kept in the Standard Chartered Bank and Standard Bank. About 10.8 billion was never remitted. Are we together? We want that money with interest. There is a small third component of which arose out of salary increases. I think it is also there. Yeah, there is some money, but that's small. But the biggest one and the biggest problem we have is the in-house. Okay? Now, several meetings were held, agreements were reached, but the university refused to sign what was agreed. Okay? In the meantime, although the case had been filed in the High Court, it was transferred to the Industrial Court. At first I thought that this was not good, but from my experience, I think it is better. This matter will resolve it. We will resolve more quickly than remaining in the High Court. Because the Industrial Court is only with the labor matters, nothing else. And it began operating at the end of September. In fact, even today I was in the Industrial Court, that's why I delayed on something else. So, this matter will be held in the second session. The first session was September, December. The next session is January, March. This matter will be consistent in this session. However, what is of interest to us is, as the beneficiaries, how do we quickly get this money? Is that not the point? Yes. Okay? So, our interest is in having the university commit itself to paying this money. They are making many arguments about interest. Obviously, if you apply even just 10%, I think it comes to about something like 70 billion. Okay? That's the money that is really out there if you apply interest. At the moment, they are saying that because in-house has several issues, let's agree to pay the other monies. We can accept it. So yes, if you agree to pay the 10.8, 1.6, pay it. Or pay it in installments. Then we can continue arguing about the in-house. So for me as a lawyer, as far as I'm concerned, what we are going to do, whether the political pressure is there or not, because you use all means. You use all means available to you. As far as I'm concerned, what we are going to present before the Industrial Court is that the university accepts certain things. Because they are in writing. These members here know that. The only point actually where there has been a disagreement is on interest, on in-house, and also the figures for in-house. They keep changing because some people are paid, as you heard, some people have access, others don't have. So the figures have changed anyway since we went to court because a few people have been paid. Then others were actually not sent to the scheme because the idea was that if you have not sent this money and people have retired, why don't you pay them? Why do you wait to them to transfer the money to us? Let's deal with the active members. So there are two things. We want to proceed with the process of getting this money through a court process. And we believe that on their own admission, the court Like they did for me. The court can award these monies. But even then, we may not get it because actually it's not there. And the only issue would be two things. How long should the university debt pay us? And what rate of interest should they pay for all these monies that they have not remitted for between, I think, 18 years. I think that's about 18 years? Yeah, from 1996. It's about 18 years to date. And of course, I'm sure you have also talked about the fact that even the current one, they are not up to date. They have not been meeting for several months. So the problems are quite big, but I think we need all the tactics. We can use the legal, and we are going to pursue it in the industrial court in the next 3 months. But we also need pressure for these people to actually append their signatures to the document. That would assist us much, and the only issue would be what period should we give them to pay this money? I thank you, Madam Chair.
My name is Benon Fetu Namasko. I'll not say the other things. Mine is about the website issues. We had to line up for these reports, and as you know, almost all of us are connected to the internet, and the university pays the bits. So I haven't visited the website to confirm whether the reports are not there, but I would be glad, as a suggestion, if you could make these reports stories as soon as they are prepared, you can make them available on the website. We look through earlier. If we want to have a copy for keeps or for giving our children at home, then we can have them and have a copy when we come here. On another note, allow me to thank Murabs, that's how I call them, although he's saying that Mabs. For the first time, I am seeing people taking a chance to have their own issues in their own hands. You know, we have always been attending, I've been attending Stanbic AGMs and Umeme because I'm a shareholder there. And it hurts to find that we move to there. I see how people are preparing things for us. It's now time, all the brains are here. Why should we always leave other people to do our things when we are all here? We are the one who teach them. We are the one who member them to go out there and be service members. Why can't we do it here? Why should we always cry for experts from outside when we are the ones who train them? And for that, that's why I'm giving a plus. And if we can all contribute to their efforts so that we can make it better. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Okesh. I'm from Cover. 3 quick issues. Oh, she's gone. Was she 8 now? I disagree with her about the budget. I think in most of the companies, the General Assembly approves the budget. It is true, the Secretariat prepares, the board looks through and will scrutinize, and then the board presents to the General Assembly and explains the direction they are taking the organization to. I find it strange that we can't even have a glance at a summary of the budgetary projections for the next financial year. In fact, that should show us what projections you have made for us. What do we think we are going to earn in the next financial year? How are we going to spend money to earn that amount? It is only fair that you share that with us. Number 2, the scheme documents, maybe they have some guidelines that explain these things. Please provide them also to us. PFT has said we should use the website appropriately. Maybe some of those documents could be accessed from there much more easily. Some of us read them. The third and last one is that in this document, I would have loved to see, going with these nice pictures of these very good people, some brief statements about them. Dr. Sol Subuga is so and so, so and so. To the scheme, he brings this kind of expertise. That helps us
Because then we get to know our trustees. It improves the trust that we have in the trustees. I thank you.
Allow me to respond to these concerns, and if you have any issues, we are going to remain behind. Please come and we shall address them. The first one was about online. Benon, I used the unconventional online dissemination of these documents by loading the university website. I sent it via email, and it was a very heavy document. I want to apologize, but because that was the easiest means now, that's the one I used, and I think you have it on your email. You have a soft copy. But going forward, this is what we have. Members, we have developed a website, but no one has access now because we want to register all members and capture their biometric features during the course of January and February. And we are going to do this registration starting from the different colleges, different faculties, different units. And we are going to be coming, and please look out for an update. Budget. Members, the budget in any corporate company is like one of its most treasured items. It is like telling me to share the IPS of maps. That is a business secret. It is like the budget. What is our projection? So, for members, and I've offered this so many times, but I don't know why members don't want to take up the offer. For members who really want to look at these projections and see them, please, let us make an arrangement. We go with you to the offices. I show you all the documents with all those projections. We cannot broadcast the scheme budget, for example, in the annual report. That is totally unacceptable. What we can do is that if you are really interested, unless there are some other motives behind your decision, but if you are really interested in seeing what happens, I can show you the budget for last year. I can show you what the expenses were and what determined what, and I can show you even for this year. Why do you want to come and then I show you? Please come. And then we want to appreciate the issue of the brief profile of the trustees. I think next year going forward, we are going to do this, but these ones are also going to appear on our MAPS website. So the website is going to be a very good tool, and we are going to use it to the best of our ability. Maybe let me also note that we are still producing this because at Ubra, when we are talking about disclosure, full disclosure, we thought that the best way to disclose some of these things, especially the financials, is through a publication like this one. So we shall have an online version, but we shall always have this as a copy given to all members. Thank you.
Members, we are winding up, but before we wind up, I have this to communicate to MASA members, if any. Tomorrow at 9:30, we just report here, your case on unpaid surrender areas is being heard, so please be there and get to know judgment. Also, I learned from the MASA representative that council gave us a break starting from 22nd to 2nd of January. I don't know whether the communication has come, but that was resolution of council. I think I should inform you on behalf of MASA and also other people who have council representatives. Otherwise, I thank you very much for having given us this time, your contributions and your support. We call for your support always. Thank you.
Colleagues, as we are coming to the conclusion, before you leave, please, I know we are rushing to get a Merry Christmas and everything. I also want to thank you for your active participation. I think that transparency alone has tickled you to ask the biting questions, and a lot of issues have come to light. Item number next on our agenda is any other business of which due notice had been given, and there being no other business for which due notice was given, I think we are coming to a conclusion. I'm asking the chair to close the meeting, and we call it Merry Christmas Day. Before she does, remember our contributions are meager, and what is happening is that we are pushing government to give us the 15 million for Professor pro rata. I want to call on members to support us. Once executive is leading this campaign with the management. The letter from Ministry of Finance hasn't come through, and our Sanja is due to end in February. But we are still available for you to entrust us more so that we can finally deliver this buffer other than the small peanuts which are already getting. So as we are going to your holidays, we still appeal for your support. Thank you so much.
Finally, the part, you remember we received and considered that we didn't get proposals for approval. And we have somebody to say we approve the annual report. Yes, please.
I say we approve the annual report. My name is Benon Fred Twinamasko.
Okay. Yes. Second by Okero John Peter.
Yeah. Okay, John Peter is the secretary for Norway, so I didn't recognize it.
Thank you, members. Thank you very much. Thank you once again and always.
And that's the end of our AGM. Thank you for the patience and commitment.